Okay, people. The thing about a nonprofit is you got to get back up on the horse, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm in Uncle John's corner here. This is where he used to sit, and the kids, everybody would be coming through, right? And I'm missing him severely. I think everybody is. We're just not talking about it, except for maybe me on YouTube, right? And so this video with these little clips with Mr. Lace, and I just did a little dragonfly that was hanging on my clothesline. It's going to be merged in with the Uncle John's chair. That's the title, Uncle John's chair. This is his chair. I'm sitting in his chair. / health status. And the health status is going to relate to me, founder to the foundation, and the aftermath of that foundation, when you initially sign it and register it and just do everything that you need to do in a legal paper sense. And 14 years of life, right? And where it's brought me today. Sitting in Uncle John's chair. So, I'm going to do it on the wipeout board though too, right? But I have to do other things around the house, so it's going to take a little time. So whether I just do something fast on the wipeout board and add it in with this clip, the next video for sure will be something on the wipeout board where you can see it visually, how life and people that live in this life, you know, affect others' quality of life and their health status. So I'm going to use me as the starting block of that health status in terms of this household. So that's why I want to take it to a wipeout board, because then you can see how it branches out and it affects other people, right? Now I want to remind the viewer right now that my glaucoma is off the charts. I can feel it. You're not supposed to feel it, right? I don't know what I look like in this video because I didn't go to the mirror to check myself out. I really wanted to dress up and do the earring thing and do my hair and, you know, and put a little lipstick on, but people, I'm sorry, I just don't have the time to go and try and dig for this stuff. Never mind, put it on and, hey people, how you doing? You know, you remember me? So, you know, you sit in Uncle John's chair, right? And you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, well, this is important, and this is important, and got to make a mental note of this, and remember this, and when the time comes, you know, just draw on that memory and, you know, spit it out to the world, right? Another reason why you want to take it to a wipeout board, because as this information is, you know, flowing through your brain, right, you know, you just kind of want to make it so that it correlates with, you know, the things in life that it relates to, right? And not get it confused, especially if you're trying to make a video and explain to people. I don't know if it's called a prelude. It's not the proceedings, right? It's not what preceded it. Preceded is to come after something. It preceded after something, right? Or the prelude. The prelude is the introduction of the health status. This is the prelude, I guess, where the proceedings will be the wipeout board. Because as a founder to this foundation, sitting in Uncle John's chair, under the circumstances that I'm sitting in this chair right now with, you know, some parts of my life just out of control, and you know, they're hard to keep a handle on, whether it's the yard or, you know, trying to get the kids to help me clean, or whether it's the paperwork for the nonprofit, or whether it's the paperwork with John now, you know, or even my own personal paperwork, right? On top of looking after everybody else's needs, you know, whether it's cleaning up after them, cooking for them, making sure there's food available for them, you know, paying the bills, right, being their sounding board so when they come and they, you know, they're depressed with the world, they can holler at mom and blame me, you know, that kind of stuff, right? So that all affects my health. And there's other factors in there that affect my health, though, because there's a proceeding from the prelude. This is just the introduction as to my health status. And my health status right now at this point in life is not good. I looked online the other day, yesterday, day before. My short-term memory is going. I think it has something to do with the eye drops and stress. I do. It's just the short-term memory. That means like put down my glasses and where you can't find it. Now, mind you, my kitchen is very small. I have no adequate porch. As a you know, a sliding out the door, pile it up, sort it out when you get some time kind of area, because if anything goes out in the actual porch and the rain comes or the wind comes or the raccoons walk on it or the cats are spraying on it, like, it's impractical. So, you know, I get a lot of congestion. And I do a lot of things. I do canning, I do food storage. You know, kids are in and out. You know, I wash the dishes. I wash the dishes today, people. They're getting put in the cupboard, and I'm like, where's that little lock? I'm locking them out. I was downstairs the other day with my older son washing the dishes that aren't even our dishes. So, you know, my girls, they need to stop blaming their brother and their younger brother, and their younger brother needs to stop blaming the girls. And if they want to live here, you know, they need to take more responsibility, because to depend on mom to do their dishes and then scream at mom that it's her dishes, when you tell them don't take them from upstairs down, because I go looking for something and I can't find it. Anyway, that all affects health because it creates unnecessary stress. So that's just one factor. That's one factor on that wipeout board, right? And that's why I'm going to put it on the wipeout board, because right now you're just listening to me with the gift of the gab, you know, rattling fast. And if you don't speak English very clearly, or you understand it fluently and efficiently, it's gonna sound like a different language to you, like when I come to your language and you guys are talking, right? I don't understand what you're saying either. So, but if you take it to something where you can actually see it and take the time to read it, then you'll understand. Because, you know, 14 years working on a nonprofit to get to this point in life where your health is failing and your family is, you know, not dysfunctional, but, you know, they're not the epitome of what is right. I don't think anybody is the epitome of what is right in our society, right, in terms of just like living, because I think what's more important is the morality of the human being, not so much what they have in wealth or no wealth, because that's another thing I want to talk about. So I'm just going to ramble here, because this stuff I'm going to put down on this wipeout board. Here's the perfect example. We know, and I'm going to talk about Uncle John sitting in his chair, right? Uncle John's sitting in his chair. You know, everybody's going by. He's getting love every day, whatever. Okay? And he's making plans to go to Victoria to go see his mom in July for her 100th birthday. This is Uncle John. He's sitting here, okay? So, okay. And then he gets sick, right? Because, you know, the vents are dirty. Maybe the furnace is blowing some dust that he shouldn't be breathing. He wasn't exercising. I'm telling him, John, you need to get up and move around, go outside, walk on. He says, do something, right? And you just sit, you know. Okay. You know, and after a while, you know, and he just got skinny, and he came up skinny, and he just got skinnier, and I'm like, John, you know, here's some little ways to at least do that, right? Or, you know, do something. So anyway, what was I saying, man? Because I get so frustrated when I think about him. So he gets the lung infection, he goes to the hospital, next thing you know, he's fucking kidnapped. And where's Uncle John sitting in his chair now? He's sitting in Victoria, half, I don't know what. Just, is he even aware, people, of where he is and what happened to him and how it happened? Okay? But the thing is, and I'm getting phone calls still, right? So his sister isn't dealing with his medical issue in terms of BC revenue, because I had 2 ambulance bills when I got my GST or family rounds the money back for 2013 taxes. I paid that $160. When they took Andre, my middle daughter had a nervous breakdown like on 3 separate occasions, and 3 times she had to go to the hospital. Okay? So I got stuck with what, $240 freaking ambulance bill. I paid the first $80. I was reluctant to pay the other 160 because I felt that that was provoked by the union worker, the system. You know, we can't blame the individual because the individual is never ever seems to be held accountable when they work for the government, and they, especially if they operate under a union. Okay, you know, we're not talking about the contract, guys. We're talking about the union here. Okay, so I paid that off. So there's no reason for the provincial revenue to be calling me, you know, unless of course John's sister didn't pay his ambulance bill, because the minute she got him, she turned around and she put a change of address in. So my mail, people, is being directed to her, and she's not even trying to send it back to me. Because I have a visa that's connected to John. I have more than, well, that one visa for sure. There's other things connected with John that his sister just chooses to ignore. Okay? So in the meantime, somebody's calling for some money. And I know it's not me because I paid mine. So what was the moral of that story? I don't know, people. I just know that I am so frustrated with this whole situation. So Uncle John is sitting here, right? Everybody's going by. He ends up in the hospital. Next thing you know, he's in fucking Victoria, right? And, oh yes, here's the point. Now, let's take, what was his name? Sounded like Cuba, but it's not Cuba, it's Kuba. Kuba. That fella out in the streets with no legs in the wheelchair, come rolling up. And you know what? He's not the only one out there, because the one that I seen that almost got banned from the front room at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning when I was sitting there one day just taking a mental note of what was going on in that place, because I do work on a nonprofit and I am concerned about my community and the people in it. Okay? That guy was not Punjabi. That guy was somebody else. Okay? So there's more than one guy rolling around out there with no freaking legs, with no assistance. Huh? Homeless. With limited resources. Okay? But yet, John, like, I don't, do you not see the disparity? Do you honestly believe, okay, this is what I mean. I'm going to take it to the wipeout board because it's so important that you not only hear it, but you see it and you really understand what I'm trying to tell you. If John was poor, without his pension plans, like Kuba out in the streets, or that other fella with no legs in the wheelchair, homeless, okay, 24/7, 365 days a year, okay, that's the reality of those people's lives. Do you honestly think that those people that took John under the circumstances that they did, as John's just thinking, okay, I'll go to the hospital, you're right, Judy, I need to go, there's something wrong, let's send me now, I'll just wait for them, lay in bed and, you know, be at peace that I'm going to the hospital, right? Because I have to convince him to go, right? So John, you need to go because I don't want you to fall and hit your head and really hurt yourself. There's something seriously wrong. And what I had done is I had put my car on the road 3 days or so before he went into the hospital. Okay? Because him and I, both needed to go to the doctor. So my car was off the road. And the one time the kids wanted to take him in a freaking taxi, he bailed, I don't want to go, so we didn't push it. So eventually I said, John, I got to put the car on the road. But I got sick with a flu for 2 weeks almost. And I was so worried for John that if he caught it, because he was the last one to catch it in the house, because he sat in his chair and watched everybody get sick. I'm telling you, people, I don't get sick. For 1 week, I practically slept. That's all I did was sleep for a week. Well, John sat in his chair and held down the fort. Okay? And then the next week, you know, I had a little more energy and whatever, and, you know, was trying to play catch up with all the housework and blah, blah, blah. And I said, and I didn't have my car. And I said, John, you know, this is really fucking hard. I said, I think I need my car just so that, you know, we can get to things and do, you know, it's too hard to maintain without a car, right? And you had to get a car, right? So I insured the car. Next thing you know, John got sick. And versus me putting him in the car sick, we opted out to have him go to the emergency. So he goes to the emergency. Next thing you know, he's in fucking Victoria and nobody knows where he is. Well, everybody's pointing a finger at me and saying, well, you must have did something wrong, but we're not going to take it to court to prove that you did anything wrong. We're just going to tell the bank that you did. Whatever you tell the bank is totally opposite of what we tell them. So I'm like, I got this stain on me now, right? Think about it. Why aren't they doing this for Kuba? That's my question. You know what? It's family. It's family related. How can it? That's a poor excuse for the $2,900 that they're profiteering off of John right now at this point in his life before he dies, and totally severs him from the people that he loves. That he sat here for a week and a half, people, for a week and a half, and made sure that everybody was okay, especially for that 1 week when I was sleeping. So John played a very important role in this house. And these people that facilitated what they did to him, you know, they, like, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, do what? You come in with your little bullshit crap? What is that? What you gonna do? Huh? You know, that just shows the type of mentality that, you know where that takes me? That takes me back to Gateway Place when I lived there with my kids. I have videos of it, where Home Depot came in and, you know, we did the little gig and I made lunch for everybody and the courtyard was painted and then YouTube came along and tagged my fucking videos, but besides the point. You know, they even muted one with me on there scratching in on the mic. They muted me, my own video, because of some music playing on the background that I was trying to, you know, I'm not like you. I have a different kind of style, people, right? So, you know, like, oh, God. What was the point of that one? Like, I am so frustrated. Oh, yes, Marnie. Her name was Marnie. She was my neighbor right next to me. And I don't know. Like, honest to God, to this day, I don't know if she was a Métis or if she was all white or if she was mixed with some other native tribe. I really don't know, because all I know is that she was racist against black people. And she was a miserable human being. Just miserable. Just didn't want people to have fun. Just didn't want the kids to get along and come together and be strong as a group. You know, hers was conquer and divide. So you can imagine what it was like for me to have to go out into this fucking courtyard with all these beautiful children and beautiful families from all these different ethnic groups, and, you know, and try and get in with the mix and just make it a great fun day, and along comes this miserable troll. You didn't know if she was going to call the cops on you or not, because that was a hit and miss with her, right? But she was definitely out there fucking, you know, and then pick a fight. 10 o'clock at the fucking night, I'm cleaning up. I've been out there since 10 in the morning. John held down the fort in the house. Used to talk to his wife on the phone all the fucking time, right? And kids going in and out. That was our lifestyle. And this woman was, you know, like, cuckoo. She wouldn't let her kids come out and play with the other kids. Kind of like these neighbors next door that don't let Andre go next door, but because they're siblings and there's 3 of them, they have a great time. So it's just constant tease for Andre, because they don't want to watch him. Not even for an hour. That's the kind of person Marnie was. Like to see other people suffer, right? And be miserable. And then she got in there, and because in those days I was doing metal recycling. I wish I you know, back to the nonprofit. I'm just going to let it out, okay? I have a lot of experience because I went into the trenches, and I actually connected with the kids, and I connected with the people. It was hard to connect with the company, though, because the company is all about profit. Profit, profit, profit. Fair enough. Everybody wants to make a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, when the company is exploiting the families that live in these complexes, and if you notice, did you hear what I said? I didn't single it out. I said complexes. Because I take that one experience that I lived with my own family, with John. John watching the kids go in and out. John answering the door with the kids and telling Mom and Lynn sleeping, come back in a couple of hours, not at 6:30 in the morning. Like, come on. Like, okay? So that's what we're dealing with when these little thumbs down come in. Okay, I can relate to that because I know there are people out there that just want to be miserable. And no matter what you say, what you do for them, how you do it, they will never ever be happy because they're fucking whiners like John's wife. So it happens every now and then. You get them. I got it. And that's why I'm doing this video. because I think it's important for people to understand that this isn't a freaking joke. Oh, here's another thing. I gotta have a smoke for this one. Okay, just hold on. I think this is going to be a 2-part video. I think in the next couple days I'll do the little wipeout board just so you can see visually what I talked about today. I'll upload this one, I'll go and convert it, and hopefully I'll have some room in my computer when I don't have to screw around, and it's easy enough to convert. Because, you know, as an example, I'm from British Columbia, Canada, Surrey. We know that, Merrex, right? Okay. I was born in Alberta, but I grew up in Victoria. I was, I guess they call them those free-range children. I used to run around when I was 8 and 9, 10 years old, 11, 12, at the ocean. And I used to walk in Langley or Langford or wherever it was, Langford, up a little further on the island, away from Victoria itself, right? You got the core, with Dallas Road. I used to play at Dallas Road along the breakwater all the way for hours and hours and hours. That's probably why I have bad eyes today. I was in the sun all the time. Right? And then my mother moved us up into the bush, and it literally was a bush. It was cougar country. And I used to jump off sand dunes to big mountains, the mountains, like the natural sand dune where it's actually nature made, right? I used to jump off those things and slide down 100, 150 feet. This was when I was 9. And I used to walk, oh, I don't know, you know how people say, oh, well, I walked, 5 miles to school, right? In those days on the farm, right? Well, I'm pretty sure I walked a mile, at least one way, and then one back, so that'd be 2 miles, to go to the ocean along the gorge, right? Which is like, I don't know, gorge, I just know it as a gorge, and play in the water and run the beach and do whatever, right? And I do that all day, with or without a friend, because I remember walking through there by myself, and that's cougar country, people. So I never got eaten by a cougar. But when I say I was a free range child, that's exactly what I mean. I was a free range child. I had the opportunity to do those things. I got to jump off a train trestle one time because my mom took me up to Qualicum Beach. And we lived there all summer long, and I cleaned cabins. I don't know, I think I was like 11 or something like that. And part of my job was to help clean the cabins, right? So in my free time, that's sand dollars. I'm getting to the point here. Sand dollars, that's when the sand dollars washed up on the shore. One day you woke up and the whole shoreline was just covered in sand dollars, and then you'd go to bed and the next day they'd be gone. Right, and people used to dig up the clams, and my mom took me out into the bay, and the what do you call those things? Killer whales would be swimming by the boat, and that's how I grew up, right? I always wanted to provide that for my kids, but it's very difficult, and I had multiple children. I had 5, so it became very expensive. At one point, I did buy everything that we needed for camping, but I just didn't have enough space to pack it all up and get us all in one vehicle, and enough money to get us there. So, at best the tent's set up in the front yard. Somebody was asking for the tent the other day. I don't know if I have it or not. But, okay, so let's get back to what I was saying. What was I trying to say? Okay, so that's my history with British Columbia, Canada. So I grew up here, right? So when I talk about Fukushima radiation and what it means to live on the west coast of Canada, I think I have a little bit of seniority. Because, first of all, these people, there's 2 other ones, right? And I'm going to talk about them briefly because I'm not going to give them too much play, right? One is this Dana Dunford that lives up in Powell River, that's done some expedition for life. And, his proof is pictures, and I've already, made commentary on, my opinion of his presentation of what he's trying to present to the, prove to the public without even further investigating it with more scientific documentation to verify what he's selling. It's like selling snake oil. We got some snake oil sellers on YouTube, and I hope people don't see me as one of them, because I'm not, and that's why I do these videos. This is why I think it's important for you, the viewer, to understand my health status, because I was reading online there about coma, and if it gets so freaking bad, you know what they do, people? They take fucking 99% alcohol and they put it in your eyes and they just, I guess they what do you call that? They purify it, like they just, I don't know the word, I can't think of it right now, but, you know, I'm like, is that my fate? Because I can feel the coma. So I'm now using the drops. I stopped using them because they give me side effects, and my life is too pulled in too many directions with too much responsibility, and you know, my health is not predictable. I mean, I can fall asleep, you know, I could put in 3 days, whatever, and eat something, and I want to lay down, and I'm honest to God, I'll pass out in 2 minutes. That's how hard I work, people. And I even want to look up online to, you know, is it possible to work yourself to death? Because you hear that, oh, it's possible to work yourself to death. The poorest of the poor usually die because they're the ones that work the hardest, right? Not the rich people that can have a nice, easy life and have people serve them. They tend to live a little longer, right? But us ones that are the grunt, the workers, the cleaners, you know, we don't normally survive very long, right? Because our bodies just give out on us. We're like the mule that's being worked to death, right? So that's my lot in life right now. That's where I'm at right now. And so you got, stay on focus, stay on topic, right? Stay focused. So so I got this history with being a free range child, and then you got some dude sitting up in Powell River that came from freaking Newfoundland, which is on the other side of the freaking Canada, 3,000 miles away. You know, at what age he came over, I don't know, but he came over as a man, and he came over to do a job, right? It's not like he grew up and really connected with the land, right? Same thing with this other one person, connecting dots 3 and 2, right? He's in Victoria. There's 2 guys, and it's like a pissing contest. And I said to my son, I said, like, you know, when I first got online with YouTube, because it was my son who introduced it to me in 2007, and I was very reluctant. I already mentioned that once before in a different video. So anyway, I am where I am now, and over the course of the last, 5 years, I guess, I've been pretty active, you know, and I've been putting out videos, and, you know, I've been trying really hard to connect with the public to the best of my ability, to get them to understand that when we look at the context of non-profit, it's legit. But when you look at Dana Dunford, what is there to show that he's legit other than his videos? Okay? Same thing with this connecting dots 2 and 3, and he also calls himself the Silver Gold Man. Why he needs so many user accounts, I don't know. Okay, I don't know I don't know if it's like collecting his coins, you know, it's like an addiction, OCD, and he's trying to put it to good use, you know, because I have that problem too. I have OCD too, so you, instead of letting it overtake you and making it so that, you know, you have absolutely no control in your life, you tend to ignore other things and focus on building on it. So anyway, maybe that's his problem. I don't know what his problem is, but I just know that he uses Fukushima and the situation around that, Japan, and the misinformation that's coming out with Dana as a means to promote himself. But there, again, is nothing there to suggest that he's legit. If you were to take what those two do and how they do it, compared to what I do and how I do it, even though I'm not maybe doing it to the best of my ability due to lack of resources and volunteers. Okay? With a hater crowd running around like Marnie. Garbage picker! Where's the number for the cops? Quick, call the cops on the bitch! That's all I can relate to, people, because I've seen it. I've lived it. I've walked it. I've had to go out in the community, get in with the kids, get in with the parents, try and communicate with the company and say, look, this is, I need water, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, you've got somebody coming along just trying to sabotage the whole process. But you get up and you do it again. And that's what I did at Gateway. No matter how hard that woman tried to shut me down, I got up and I did it again with the kids and the parents, the community, the ones that were open for change, the ones that were wanting to live a quality living, even though maybe their environment wasn't that good in terms of living in a monster home compared to a cockroach and, overcrowded apartment building. Just because it's got cockroaches in it and it's overcrowded doesn't mean it can't have a sense of quality. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to bring that quality in. That's why it was important for the children to have something to do. And I made sure that the opportunity was there. But we had people in the background with their cameras sticking their tongue out at me, calling the cops, coming out, standing around, picking a fight in front of the kids at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Just had to be a drama king, drama queen, had to conquer and divide the community. And next thing you know, I've got half the kids calling me a garbage picker and the other half saying, Mama Lynn, when are we going to paint rocks? I mean, negativity can be very strong and it can influence people in a very negative way. And because we live in a negative society, people are quick to jump on that bandwagon. So, that affects health. So, how did that distract away from connecting dots 2 and 3? And so the goal man. This is a stupid video. And Dana Dunford, right? Well, they're getting all the play. And I'm getting beat up. Which affects my health. Because I don't know how much longer I can keep promoting this nonprofit. Under the conditions that I'm promoting it under. Which isn't very large viewership. And what little viewership I have is being sabotaged. Purposely. With intent to be malicious. Which could be potentially dangerous if you would like to be paranoid about it. Alright? And I'm not paranoid about it because, again, I lived in a complex where I had to deal with people because there was more than one. It wasn't just Marnie. Obviously not. And what I found, though, is it boils down to a lot of it is jealousy. Right? I mean, you got to be pretty spiteful and jealous to not let your own children come out and play with a group of children regardless of their ethnic color and skin and race and language. Right? You know what I mean? And even if you did allow your children to come out, but you were trying to make it harder for the coordinator, which would in that case would have been me, right? Just so that you could come in on an undermining note. It's like, did you see that video where some woman jumped off her scooter, tapped this woman in the freaking grocery aisle, and they started rolling around and calling each other bitch and beating on each other with the little boy standing there trying to stomp on some woman's head, and everybody just standing around with the cameras and walking and looking. Like, where is that instinct to jump in and break up the fight and, and try and be civil? Like, where is it being civil? Just, watching the drama unfold and secretly wishing that it gets worse, because then it's the next YouTube sensation, or you got to see it first, or it just gives you a thrill in life because your own life is so fucking shitty. So if somebody else hurts more than you, that makes you feel better. Like that's the direction society is going in, and I try and pull away from that with the foundation. Okay. And that's why I'm doing this video now, because in paperwork, legalities, and how it relates to legislation on a municipal, provincial, and federal. So I didn't just come in with my little teeny weeny nonprofit in Surrey. We can take it as far as we want to take it, people, because there is that paperwork. And then to have to deal with people that just, I don't know, because these guys, just connecting dots, and Dana Dunford, they're no different than the G4T, and there was some Muhammad guy, and there's a couple of other dudes out there that I've come across on their videos, and you make a comment on them, and they either, one, don't address you, or two, they'll address you and then get cocky and then will ban you. Okay? I'm banned by Dana. He doesn't like talking to me. If I leave a post on his videos, they come up unseen. if you come in without yourself, right? They hide them, right? And same thing with this connecting dots too. And they're both from British Columbia. Neither one of them grew up here, but they're experts on the coast. And, you know, they have all these files that they can refer to. But when you really listen to them, oftentimes it's just the same old thing coming, especially Dana. It's just the same old, you know, mantra. You know, it's the same old information just being regurgitated. Well, you've got this connecting dots too coming up behind, trying to disprove everything that he's saying, that somehow that makes him more viable, and you should be supporting him financially to get some other radiation meter that's quite complicated and technical that he probably couldn't even read the direction book on. Never mind trying to find the proper location to put it in, because you're talking about high-tech scientific equipment, and people are listening to that. I listen to it, right? But I'm not that gullible that I'm just going to ignore what I do. You know, this is what I mean. This is a pissing contest. Don't listen to her. Listen to us. We live in British Columbia. She doesn't. She lives in some fucking la la land. You know, who cares if her health is falling? who cares if her house, you know, her house is like the kids, you know, all depressed because, you know, in the real world we've got the union kidnapping ex-union workers, not members, you know, but workers for their pension plans. Because again, why aren't they going out there and kidnapping Kuba? Why aren't they going out there kidnapping that other guy in the wheelchair? All three men couldn't walk. John couldn't walk, but he got scooped up real fast. Do you know how hard it was to clean up after John? I would wash the floor, John would come along, and the minute he'd walk by, I'd have to come behind and start cleaning up because he drooled. And then he liked to put his fingers in his mouth and then touch things. Looking after John was no easy cake. But he wasn't always like that. Obviously not. But he just got older, right? And I just, like... And we're supposed to just forget about him. This goes to the mental, to the health status. This is going to be on the whiteboard. Like, how do these people just expect us to forget about him? Okay? So, we've got Dana Dunford that knows everything about British Columbia because he fucking dived for sea urchins. Okay, he's the expert, so send all your money to him, even though he can't even prove to you that he's a legit nonprofit. And then we've got the Connecting Dots 2, 3, and the Silver Gold Man all operating under one agenda. And I don't know what that agenda is, because if he's going to ban me too, well then, you know, that tells you something, people. Right? All I can do is give you the information, because I live in British Columbia too. You'd think that they would want to work with me, because I'm the one with the legit nonprofit. I'm the one with the paperwork. I'm the one with all these freaking bank statements coming in. Okay? But I don't see them helping me. So that affects my health, because it's just another negative. It's just another battle that I have to fight against. Whether I'm fighting against the city for Mr. Lace, or whether I'm fighting against the city to give me some more time. I'm not fighting. They just cut me some slack. Said, you got another month, and, you know, so the yard is coming together. But I already knew it was going to come together. But they had to put the pressure on. Okay, fine, you got an image, you know. But I talk beyond the image. That's why today I don't care about what I look like, because it's not about image. It's about substance. And when your health is being affected by all this negativity, whether it's a Marnie, or whether it's, you know, two guys having a pissing contest with their 24-hour marathon to prove or disprove who is right or wrong, but yet none of them, not one of them can provide anything fucking legit to you if you requested it, you know, online even. I can put stuff, I put it up, you've seen it. You can go into my videos. Sure, you can thumb it down because it bothers you that it's real, because you're a Marnie with your tongue sticking out, calling the cops, videotaping something that what? What? That everybody had a good day? Huh? Right? That a lot of bird houses got made that day? Did it bother you that 50 kids made a fucking birdhouse? You know why? Why would it bother you that children were having fun? Because when you pick on me and you come in and you do this shit, whether I'm talking about John, because this is John's chair. Last time John was home, he was holding down the fort. He goes to the hospital. Next thing, well, who knows? Who knows, right? Because there's so many mixed messages going on. They had to sneak him out of here. So we'll never really ever know. But we're just supposed to forget about that and not let it affect our mental health or our physical health, because we're resilient, right? We're the slave and debtor. We're indebted to slave, like financial slavery. And once we're in that position, we're hooped, right? We're the grunt of society. That's how we're being treated at this point, through these unions. Now, my opinion about the union is, when I started the nonprofit, honest to God, on a Bible, on a Quran, on my mother's life, whatever. When I started this nonprofit, I was probably one of the most grateful people to be living in Canada. Honest to God. Because that's what sparked it. I couldn't work. I had the kids at home. Obviously, I was looking after John. I didn't realize I was looking after John until John was gone. Now I realize how much I actually did look after him. And, the company for the costumes wasn't working. And I wanted to be more productive. So I resigned to have my costumes as a hobby and try and take my excess energy and found a nonprofit. And because I wanted to reach kids in Canada and the United States, especially in the inner cities, right? Knowing how my life was and how I grew up as a free-range child, right? Compared to trying to find that, you can't empathize because you don't live it, but, that deeper sympathy, that compassion. Well, gee, would I really want my children growing up in the inner city? Whether it's in Canada or the United States. So my goal was to reach as many kids as I could. And I didn't know what they needed. I just didn't know what Canadian kids needed. So someone said, well, phone up the schools and ask. So I did. I phoned up like 5, 7, 8 schools, different school districts, Coquitlam, Burnaby. I did New Westminster, I did Surrey, Vancouver, and I talked to the school board personnel, and everybody said school meal program. Each and every one of them. This was in 2000, people. 1999 and 2000. Do you realize we're in 2015? And I haven't really gotten very far with this nonprofit because of all the freaking Marnies running around and then coming in as a Joan. Because it tends to be more women than men. My experience is women are, I don't know, insecure, maybe struggling like me and just don't know how to bust free because it's a trap, right? I don't know what motivates people to do the things that they do sometimes. So anyway, what was I talking about again? The school meal program. Being grateful, right? I was grateful. I used to talk to John like this. John and I would talk. So I'm sitting in John's chair talking to you as if talking to John. John would answer. He'd tell me his stories, right? But so when I do you want to know how I got the trademark name? I'll tell you how I got the trademark name. It's kind of funny, really, when you look back at it. Okay, happy. I couldn't go to work. I was resigned just to try and keep my sewing on a more, hobby, personal level, and take my intuitive ambition. Intuitive means you sense something. You can sense it. Ambition means you're willing to go out there and get it. So I had an intuition that I could make lots of money if I just had the right circumstances and opportunity and time and, that type of stuff, right? And I had the ambition to do it because I already had the ambition to do it with my company. But my circumstances didn't allow it because I had to stay home. and look after 5 kids and John. So I had to compromise. So I compromised on a nonprofit. And I took my intuition that I, as a human being, not as a woman, not as a man, but as a human being, in a country like Canada, that professes itself to have, you know, some baseline of freedom, to break free from the, you know, rigamaroos of life, you know, being in the rut and the debt and just whatever, right? I couldn't do it with the company, but maybe I could do it with a nonprofit. And because I already had ambition, the transition between the two was okay for me. It wasn't just, it didn't disturb me. I was confident. I went in very confident, right? But then I had to learn the rules, and the rules were, you know, you have to write a constitution, you have to write bylaws, you have to get board of directors, you got to put your application in and do all these filing fees and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Those were things I never did before. I read, I was educated to a degree, but it wasn't anything I was familiar with. But I did it anyway. And at first, I had it verbally, blah, 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 this is what, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I gathered up $1,000, and I phoned up this lawyer downtown. This is the gist of what I was trying to say, which is actually quite funny when you look back on it. But it's not funny though, right? Because it was very serious, and I don't believe in astrology either. But I'll add that little bit of tidbit in there, right? So okay, so he makes an appointment with me, and I go see him, right? And I don't even remember his name. All I remember was just these humongous, big marble steps. And it was an older building, and you had to go all the way up. And these things were massive. So I'm trucking up the stairs. Go sit down, go talk to him. I tell him what I want. I want to start a nonprofit. This is it. I got to do something with my life. Can't start a company, so I'm going to try this. I got $1,000. I said, write me a constitution. Write me up some bylaws. That's what I told him. He goes, well, ma'am, as much as I'd like that $1,000. He said, I can't take it. He said, I can't take it because it would be ethically wrong to take it. And then he told me to go home and do it for myself if I really wanted to. So, of course, I went down the stairs crying, and I sat at the bottom of the freaking stairs, those big marble stairs, bawling like a bloody baby. That's the funny part. Like, I was so devastated that this man wouldn't help me. And I had this money in my hand, and I'm like, what the fuck do I do now, right? Like, you know, how am I, you know, I never wrote a constitution before, and what do I know about bylaws? And sure, I listened to the House with John when they were debating and having their passing of bills and doing their budget debates and all this other crap, but I never actually sat down and had to start reading it. So I went home. I guess I contemplated on it for a little bit. Going through the little local newspaper, or whatever paper I had at the time. Decided to read my little horoscope, but I had a dream before this though, people. I had already had a dream, like a sleeping wake-up dream, right? And so that played a role too. It wasn't just this, right? So I'm looking and I'm reading my little horoscope, right? And it said that I needed to document. I don't know the exact words. I mean, we're talking 2000, right? 99, 2000. You needed to, it would have been in 2000, in the middle of 2000 or something like that, right? I had to document it like legit, like hardcore legit. Not just register a nonprofit, but I had to go a little further with what I wanted to do, which when you take it to the starting point, universal school meal program, because you have to take it back to those 7 phone calls to the different school districts asking each one what they wanted. And the common denominator on that was the school meal program. So I don't know. I don't know how it came to me, but next thing you know it, I'm phoning up a trademark agent. I say, hey, I got this really great idea, right? And this is what I want to do. Will you help me? I got some money, right? Because who's going to believe me? Who's going to believe me with 5 kids, single mother, with a dependent? He wasn't that old in those days, but, you know, some people would consider him elderly because he was past his 50s. I'm 53. I don't know how old he was. He's 78 now. 78, 68? No, maybe younger than that. We moved, I can't remember, but we've been out here for 21 years. Almost 21 years, and he's 76. So how old would he have been? Almost 65 when he got here? But he was frisky. He was still frisky in those days, right? And something like that. I'd have to do the math. But anyway, and she said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to start a universal school meal program. But nobody's going to believe me, you know. And because I was already somewhat educated. I had the compassion, I had the sympathy in terms of that vision where, you know, because I had my own roots of growing up, and I was on the internet, and I know there's a lot of kids in the United States suffering, right? Not getting the quality of living that can be imported into communities. That's what Gateway showed me. You can import quality living even into, you know, stressful environments. I don't want to call it a bad environment, because under the right circumstances, it had a strong sense of community. It just didn't have the support from the management and the company due to politics, and or some of the residents that obviously suffered from some sort of issue in terms of, well, if I can't have fun, you can't have fun, right? So, you know, I went to go see her. I let it all pour out. Well, these are the things I'd like to do. She asked me what I want to do with this nonprofit. And I had already started to work on developing the Constitution and taking the information that I had learned over a period of years of reading, taking my own experiences and what I went through as a child, a youth, an adult, to where I was at that point in life, where I was very grateful to be in that position where I could make a difference. And this is why it's going to go back to the health status, because honestly, I don't know if this coma doesn't get under control and I find out what else is provoking my health issues. And it's not tobacco, people. I'm sorry, it's not tobacco. It's something else. It's the fact that I'm constantly using dollar store glasses. I'm overworked. I have, you know, this tooth, 5 years of, it's getting to be quite irritating, pain, and the gum is receding, and the tooth is dying because it's already dying. But they won't, you see, they won't fill it though, or do anything with it, because they want to send me to a specialist. But I have to pay for the specialist just like I had to pay for those ambulance bills. And I wasn't going to go see a specialist until after I got some of the bills under control. Right? That was, you know, Uncle John sitting here. That was the plan. Okay? We were going to do the dental after we got a handle on the remaining bills. Because I've been paying bills for years. And I've had bills, paid them off, got more bills, paid them off. And then you've got those main bills, right? So we wanted just to bring them down a little bit. And then, you know, quite possibly then I could, you know, take that leap and, you know, go pay the $160 just the consultation fee to find out, you know, how they can fix this tooth, because their other dentist is saying, well, we don't want to touch it because if you start pulling it out, your whole mouth is going to change and you're just going to ask for more problems. It's better if you just save what you can, if it even means to be a root canal, but because it's curved like this and we don't want to touch it, we got to send you to a specialist because they got all this, but you don't have the money to pay for the specialist. Well, this is where I'm at today. Just like with these glasses. I go outside These ones I can read in, very good. These are dollar store glasses. But they fall off my head. You can see they slip off. If I lose these things, I don't know what I do. Touch wood. Right? So, oh God. I don't know what I would do. So I put on a different pair, and then when I go outside, my eyes go bling because it's so bright with all these like dollar store glasses on. That just give me something so I can go work out there, right? Work myself to death for some bok choy. But I got some beautiful raspberries, so you know that's what I tell myself. So okay, so let's go back to where this all started. So in those days, I was very grateful. I did the research. I already had some experience in terms of just life experiences. You know, I was fairly educated so that I wasn't intimidated when it came time to do the bylaws, because how I put the bylaws together was I didn't know anything about bylaws. Again, this was unknown territory for me. And I'd already started the process with trademark and because that application for that was put in first, because I already had the dream. And then, you know, the lawyer sent me away. Right? I went away crying, but I got back up on the horse and I said, to hell with this, I'm going to do something because, you know, I've got time on my hands and I want to do something. I had time on my hands in my home, but I didn't have time on my hands in the community, right? And I had that ambition and I had that intuition. And then, but I needed to follow the protocol, so I had to, you know, write Constitution, which I did several drafts. And then I had to build in some bylaws. And because I knew nothing about bylaws, what I did there was, and like this connecting dots 1, 2, and 3 with Silver Goman and Dana Dunford, have they done any of this, people? I'd like to see them write up a set of bylaws. Seriously. So what I did is I phoned up other various organizations. World Vision was one of them. And then there was, it had something to do with First Nations. I have it in my paperwork somewhere. I have their bylaws here. I don't know. It's packed away, right? But I can't remember the group, right? But it was a First Nations group. And then another one, I don't remember, right? And I read them, and I studied them. I read each bylaw from each organization, and I slept on it, and I thought about it, and then I started to... I wasn't trying to plagiarize, you know. I take the information, read it over again, sleep on it, read it, and then try and narrow down as to what I thought was right for this foundation based on those 3 bylaws. And because I had gotten the trademark and it was so dispersed, because when you come in and you do a trademark application, you know, you get to be like, well, this is what I want to do, unless of course you already have something in mind, 1 thing or 2 things, you know, as a, you know how they build products, right? I didn't come in with a product. I came in with a dream. I came in with a mission. So I had that freedom. I was a free range entrepreneur, paper worker, whatever you want to call me in those days, right? So, but I had to set up bylaws and build in the Constitution. So when you go to the Constitution under the foundation and you read all this stuff and you think, holy shit, why is she scattered around like this video? Why is she talking about this? Why is she, you know, why? But if you look at it as a whole, you can see that it makes sense. But you have to study it because, you know, there's been a lot of thought and time put into it, and it's legit. It gets ignored though. And it's kind of disappointing because, you know, this connecting dots, and I know he watches my videos, so just get real, right? Like, I'm not stupid. And you know I watch yours, and that's fine, because you live in BC, and you do talk about things that are important when it comes to Fukushima, because I'm a firm believer that it comes down in the rain. And I'm a firm believer that, you know, if we're not getting proper information from Japan, take away the politics. You know, if we can remove the politics between the governments, because a lot of what goes on in our society is done on a governmental paperwork, you know, that you don't ever get to see. It's like my daughter, when we walked out there and gave our shout outs to the Gulf Coast of Mexico, when I really started to work on YouTube videos talking about, here's our coastline until a big company comes along and starts to pollute it. Well, that's Japan. Japan's been polluting our waters now for the last 4 years. So I'm not against people talking about Fukushima, because I think it's important that as a province, we better prepare ourselves for the worst case scenario, because when you go back into my videos, and when that thing first blew its stack and my yard was nothing but a mud pit with a bunch of weeds and God knows what, and my biggest regret when it came to being prepared was that I wasn't prepared. But I had to become prepared. And because I live in this house, I did the food storage, built the greenhouse, planting vegetables, blah, blah, blah. That takes time. So, they don't talk about that stuff, though. They don't talk about what you, if you live here, have to deal with. Right? And that could be even in Washington and California, because we're all on the West Coast, Alaska, right? We're all facing the same problem, right? But why does it have to be a pissing contest? I'm sorry, I'm not a man. I'm not very good at that. Right? But for some reason, people seem to migrate towards men as leaders. My son said, Mom, you're not a very good leader. You make a good boss. You're okay as a boss, but as a leader, you're no good. And I'm like, you're right. Because if I was a good leader, I'd have more participation in with nonprofit. And I am bossy because I had 5 kids and I had to be on top of it to the best of my ability in terms of keeping them on the straight and narrow and out of trouble and trying to become productive members in society and working and that type of stuff, right? Right? And so, okay, health status. So we're going to put Fukushima on the board, and then we're going to show the competition, because there's 2 fellas in British Columbia, Canada, that are having a pissing contest that think they can just toss me off the side like I'm just some sort of an annoyance to them by putting me on block, right? Because they don't like what I have to say by saying, well, I'm legit, where's your paperwork? And it's not even about where's your paperwork. It's more like, why don't you try and help me? Because if you help me, you help your community. If you help me, you help yourself. It can only get better if more of us come together. But no. You got to either follow Dana, or you got to follow this Connecting Dots 2, who doesn't even give himself a real name. Well, quite possibly, the 2 of them are coming into my YouTube channel going down. It could be them guys. It could be you. Right? Because I'm brave enough to get up there and do one of those hangouts. Sure, I got off on the wrong foot and people coming in there and beating me up over John. Well, you know what? You go ahead and convince yourself that John had a right to be kidnapped, but Kuba doesn't. Okay? Because at the end of the day, whatever is in the dark will come out in the light. And there's some really dark, shady shit going on right now. And it has, that's like, that, that's that karma. That's didn't stop me from talking about what's going on today. Because at the end of the day, the nonprofit is still legit. And that's why I do these videos. I've said it before. I guess I'm not a quitter. I'm not ready to quit. Here's another little story. Okay? I'm going to light up my half a butt here. Right? I don't know. How many minutes is this? I'll put it in 2 parts. Oh my God. It's 103. And this camera clicks out when I'm uploading on something. Whatever. It's a joke. It's a joke. You got this one fella talking about, oh, I care about kids. I had one. You're stepping up to the plate. Well, if you're stepping up to the plate, why don't you fucking talk to me? Right? I grew up here. Right? I spent most of my life here. All my children have been born here. Right? You flew in from the east a kind of like my neighbors over there who won't let their children play with my grandson because it's a power trip to tease him and they think it's fucking funny. Deep down inside, they think it's fucking funny. Well, whatever. Same thing with these guys. Well, let's talk about Fukushima and give me all your money and ignore that little girl over there, and we'll make it so that you don't like her, because we're going to come in when nobody's looking and we're going to thumb her down because we're trying to affect her psyche so that she doesn't come back. I've been dealing with that crap for fucking years, man. That's why I wear my Merex hat and I go out in the streets, even though I can't go to City Hall and say, look, this is what's going on out here, and I know you know it because you're part of the problem. I go out there and I make a video and I give people a voice so they can, you know, they can't hide from it. Sooner or later, they're going to have to realize that the way they treat those homeless people is nothing compared to the way they treat John. And the only reason that they treated John the way they treated John was because they wanted his money through his pensions, which is union. It's the union that are doing this. Well, the government, BC Liberal government, under that health status, comes in 2002 and brings in their American welfare reform that specifically states that it's out to get us single moms and wipe us out, annihilate us by any means necessary so that the next generation doesn't learn to reproduce itself out of wedlock. Only they didn't expect to have someone like me show up and tell you about it. That's basically what's happening here. Right? Because everybody's too busy living the drama. And it's affecting their health just like it's affecting mine. Like, I can see the camera. I can see the shadow of my face. I'm starting to look like John here. Getting all fuzzy. So I'm going to put this little health status up here. And I guess connecting dots 1, 2, and 3 with his Silverman gold on the side. He's going to be there in a corner somewhere around, along with Dana Dunford, because it relates to the nonprofit. Because these guys are not helping. And it needs to be out there that just because they can spout off the mouth that they're from British Columbia, Canada, and have their hounds come in, or their aliases, or whatever they do, and thumbs down my video, right? Because it could be them. You know, it doesn't have to be the Duncan clan. I mean, they got what they wanted, so why should they care? Right? It doesn't look like I'm coming after them anytime soon because they know I'm busy. They know I'm sick. Do you know that the Duncan clan had the paperwork for my nonprofit years ago? Years ago, when my kids, Tisha and Shmay, took John across the ferry to go visit Joan. To go visit Joan. These people have probably had the information to the nonprofit for at least last 9 years. Matter of fact, I think they got it when I was living in Delta. And I haven't lived in Delta since, well, when I got cut off of welfare, 2003. So you do the math. That's what? It's 2005, that's 12 years. They have had the paperwork for the nonprofit for 12 years. And you know what? If it's Duncan Clan coming in there and doing that, or whether it's Dana Dunford or this Silverman guy, right? It kind of shows you, though, right? It shows you because, and you see, okay, I'm gonna go on the wipeout board here, people. You're supposed to get rewarded for doing things right. If you go to school, study, you know, you get a better job, right? You pay your taxes, whatever, you stay out of trouble, right? You know, that type of stuff, right? You pay your bills, you know, and, okay, I don't know what I was thinking when I set up the nonprofit, other than I was grateful and I wanted to do something with my time. Because I had ambition and I had an intuition that I could actually accomplish something if I tried to do it to the best of my ability in a legal sense. But when you look at the charity that's out there, what is this Dana Dunford guy? Is he a charity or is he a mission? How is he going to file his taxes? No, seriously, how is he going to file his taxes? Would you consider him to be a charity? Charity to what? What has he accomplished in the real world, right? Or are you, when you see him, if you see him and you support him, are you just supporting the information that he's providing to you, as in terms of like a researcher? Is he going to list himself down as a researcher, or is he a charity? He acts like he's a charity, but in the true sense of the word, he's not. Same thing with this connecting dots, too, right? That's a weird name. Just call me Mama Lynn, okay? I know there's New Nations Unity, whatever, it's the channel, it's the history of nonprofit, but at the end of the day, I'm just Mama Lynn, okay? Or Judy, or whatever, it's fine. At least you know who I am, right? I have a legit charity, but I want to leave it on this note. You know now a little more of the history in terms of how it all came about, if you took the time to listen, right? Without judgment, okay? Because the ones coming in are judging, you know, and that's fine. I'm requesting YouTube to remove that feature from my channel altogether. That's the direction I'm going in with that channel. There will be no voting feature. I want the feature removed. I want the option of removing that feature. And once I get that option, then that will be removed. Right now, it can stay as is, because this person has a point, or persons have a point to prove, and that's fine, because it does. It affects my health just as much as Connecting Dots 1, 2, 3, and Silver Goldman, right along with Dana Dunford, right along with the Duncan clan, right along with the Marnies in the world, right along with the Union, right along with the legislation that came in from the United States of America that purposely singles out single mothers so that they can use us as an example of what is wrong in our society. I've been saying it for fucking years, but they have to take it to a legislative level and, you know, bring in their dirty politics, right, that affect our health in the long run, so that the next generation of poor people don't make the same mistakes. That's always been the lesson. But it never stopped me from trying. So, in the context of charity, my experience with that is, and this is the note I want to leave it on, when you're talking about the big ones that are already established, like the Fukushima Dana Dunford and the Connecting Dots 3, right, with his, you know, give me money for a spectrometer so I can tell you the radiation readings on a crab, even though I have no place to put the, you know, the machine, but I'll figure that out when I get it, okay? And I won't tell you when I get it, except for maybe when I get it, but besides the point, you know, then you got all these little community charities, but they're not called charities, you see. This is, people get confused. There's a difference between a charity and a nonprofit. Nonprofit is local. Charity is national. That's how I formulate it in my brain. That's how I was geared to set up the nonprofit in the initial beginnings of writing the Constitution, writing the bylaws, just securing the concept, securing so that one day people will believe that even though I was a rambling idiot for an hour and a half on a YouTube channel, at the end of the day, I did the legwork. John and I and the kids, we greased ourselves down, whatever it took, so that we could get to the next level, so that nonprofit, that dream, that charity could exist, so that maybe one day somebody could latch on to it, and then that ambition with that intuition that I had will come to fruition, and then you can say in your grave that you made a difference. Okay? I'm still on that path. And, but as a charity, if you're not a well-known charity, I'm not going to mention no names right now, but something that's been around for a long time, anywhere from 50 to 100 years, right? You know, you're secondary to everything else, even the Dana Dunfords and the freaking Connecting Dots who don't even have a registered nonprofit. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to go through everything that's been gone through to get to this point where I have to explain this to you on a YouTube channel. But if that's what it takes to keep the nonprofit out there, just like when I first decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do, be brave, don't be afraid, whatever, and find myself 5-6 years later still talking to you, still trying to explain it to you. The only difference now is in those days I had better health, and these days I'm telling you, people, I think this is why I'm doing it, because I don't know. I really don't know if I can survive this. And that's the part that my kids don't understand. Because I'm the type of person that will take it to the bitter end. In other words, I won't quit. I won't quit being a mom. I won't quit trying. Even if I can't do it, I still won't quit. And that's my problem. Because some things I should just quit on. Because there's just too much negative shit in the world to be bothered anymore. So this is what I'm thinking. And I shouldn't be thinking these thoughts at 53 years old. I'm thinking, well, you better find yourself a notary public. You better find some time in your busy day to write a will. To protect the nonprofit, to protect your kids, and to protect your grandson. Right? And try and make it so that Uncle John has a way to find his way home. Okay? Because he's part of the family too, right? And, because, life could end in an instant. Like, seriously. And then what? What will happen? So, in the meantime, though, that hasn't happened yet, right? So, this government, just local politicians, I put an application in 2007 for a fundraiser that was denied. Even though on a federal, provincial level, you should have had the right, if you did all the paperwork the right way, to at least have the opportunity to try it once. And, I've been criticized for this and criticized for that. So, I don't know. So that's the introduction, right, to the health status, because I think it's important that it be documented in black and white to the prelude of where I'm at today. And this is all on behalf of New Foundation for Community Partnerships, right? Because I sent some woman an email that I met out in the fucking streets feeding all these homeless people, as if she's the first person to do it, trying to help. And this is another one, just another connecting dots too, and another dame for done for everybody on their own little fucking missions in life. Right? And I'm severely behind on the paperwork. I know that. I'm trying to connect with this new board director just on a fucking informal format like I have with Riley and Steve and Uncle John, but he wants it more in paper, but I don't have the energy to type it all down and say, can you please become a signing board director to the foundation, blah blah blah. I'm like more on the phone, like, this is what's going on, and we need to do something, and then he's not answering his phone when I try to do a follow-up. So that just kind of tells me I'm all alone. Right? Even though I'm the one that did everything the right way, even though I'm the one with my family that sacrificed for us to even be able to say that it's legit, as people around us ignore it for their own agenda. And that makes me think that I have to be prepared. And the best way to prepare myself and my family is to make sure that whatever happened to John doesn't happen to me. In other words, I need to get my will in order, notarized, so that if something happens to me, these union workers and this healthcare professionals and all this other crap, they just can't come in there and take everything away from my kids. In terms of the history of the nonprofit and those steps, with me crying at the bottom of them. Do you know how many times I've asked lawyers to help me with this nonprofit? Although the trademark agent, she's been there from day one. Day one, people. And she's cut me some slack. So we won't broad brush. Right? Okay.